was told I was wrong in many ways, and when I expressed anger or something, it was frowned upon, so I wasn't allowed to express certain feelings. And growing, and then as you become an adult, like it, you try to hold it together. And there were certain high stress periods where I would be really feeling that depression, and I would not really talk about it. I didn't talk about it with anyone, not even my brother or anyone. And
it's because it's embarrassing because you're like, I'm
shameful.
supposed to be like, you're a big human.
Yeah.
You're like a handsome big guy.
Thank you.
And like you look at that, like people look at you and you're just like, Tyler's got tons of friends. He's got this rich lifestyle. He's like, he can shred on a surfboard. I've seen you surf. You're a good surfer, and you have all these people in your life. Like, who in a million years would have thought, And it's just, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. And like you said, kindness, because we don't know what's going on with people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's one thing I've really learned from this experience is just like, fuck, man. Like,
you got to be nice to people.
Really, I've already, I like to think I'm pretty nice to everyone,
Yeah.
but
you have to be, you got to be nice to yourself also. That's
exactly.
kind of where it starts.
That's the thing, right? Like self-love and compassion to yourself is probably the hardest thing, right? Like it's so much easier to outwardly give it, but to inwardly, it's a constant struggle for me. And there's lots of things I've been dealing with, but I've come through a really difficult time, and it's been amazing. And it's like, and I've just had a lot of realizations. And then talking to you has just always been like kind of that uplifting, kind of. Also inspiring because it's like I can take control.
Mm-hmm.
I can change these things. I can change these habits, and I can, learn to cope with it and learn tricks to manage it too.
Yeah.
They call it the big black dog, right? Like you learn the tricks to manage those things.
There's no hole.
Yeah. But there's no hole. You dig
no,
your own hole.
There's no fucking hole.
You dig it.
Stop digging. There's no fucking hole.
So I appreciate you sharing that about your brother, though.
Yeah, it's important to talk about because, like, dude, like, Matt, like, there's this whole, like, I don't know, there's so much, like, toxic masculinity going on in the world where, you have to be a tough guy and not have feelings or emotions or talk about things that go awry in your life. But, I mean, happens to everybody.
Yeah.
And like, if you can, strive to have some modicum of balance in your life, which is truly what happiness is. Yeah. I mean, this is kind of one of the things I learned from my wife. Like happiness is not this never ending cycle of getting stuff.
Yeah.
Happiness is when you feel balanced, and like things happen in life that knock you off balance. And if you have this practice that rebalances you, that retunes your mind into the stereo station, whatever you're listening to, that's where, you find the happiness, you get back on the path, and you're like, all right, you know what? Yesterday was a fucking shit show. It was a burning dumpster fire of diapers. But tomorrow, I'm going to wake up, and I'm just going to tell myself I'm grateful for waking up.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law says you get 2 gifts every day when you open them, your eyes.
I love
when
that.
You wake up in the morning, and you just sort of go with that, like whatever. My brother killed himself, my parents were riddled with anxiety. I'm riddled with anxiety, like I hated myself when I was a kid. Like there's all this stuff that's there, like it took me years to figure out how to stand up on a surfboard. And I can still barely stand up on it some days.
Look good though.
But it's like, like that's all that shit that's in your head. That's all static. It's not there. Mm-hmm. Like the real mind, underneath it is just right, under your breastplate. It's like you're just live from the heart, forget the fucking ego, like forget the mind. Breathing exercises are really helpful to do that too.
I've been doing Wim Hof
Great.
And a little bit and some transcendental meditation.
Here's a good
sounds.
A good breathing exercise if you ever just kind of want to recenter yourself and it works anywhere. Just picture yourself breathing into your heart, and as you exhale through the top of your head. Just picture the breath going out your skull. You breathe into your heart, you exhale through the head. And it's basically like you're firing up the furnace of your house, which is your heart. And all of the exhaust, the black smoke, is just going right out the chimney. You could just sit there and do, 5 or 6 of those breaths, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, I'm okay now. Whatever happened I got this. I'm existing still on this planet. You know, I'm a meat-covered skeleton on a rock hurtling around the sun at a gajillion miles an hour. That's all I fucking am right now. But I'm okay because I'm going to make it into the next moment. You know, my wife, like, she, like, one of the things I wanted to discuss was, like, I think a lot of depression that, you know, people feel comes from fear.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
You're scared.
Oh, totally.
Scared in general, like scared of things aren't going to work out the same way, or things aren't going to work out the way you want them to.
You're afraid you're going to lose things. You're afraid you're going to drive people away. There's so many endless fear.
I didn't experience like fear really until I was like 31 years old on the day that my wife was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer.
Whoa.
I was sitting at work at my desk and she called me up and said, we just got the biopsy results back and, you know, I have cancer. And my world immediately I went into panic mode. It crumbled. I was like, all right, I'm a new dad. I have a 5-year-old child. I have a newborn at home. I just took on this like 1 hour, you know, commute to work up in Stamford, Connecticut. Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to be a single dad and keep all this together and raise 2 kids at the same time? Like your mind just goes into fucking panic mode.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And starts racing. My partner gave me the keys to his car and just said, go home.
Yeah.
Drove home. Fainted in my apartment when I got home because I was so terrified of what was going to happen, and then just immersed myself in information as to what was the diagnosis. How do you treat the diagnosis? Is it treatable? How did it spread? Like all this stuff. And the more information I consumed, the more I felt. But that feeling of fear and not knowing how to deal with it, I can see how it can consume people and really just derail their lives. Whereas I, you know, was, because I'm not a depressed person, I was, you know, rationally thinking, how am I going to deal with this situation? And, you know, my partner was like, listen, you have to be strong and get your shit together for your kids and for your wife. You can't fucking fall down now.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like when things go off the rails in life, you need to just remember that there is this strength inside of you that lies in your heart. It's like your head is just this fucking buzzing static a lot of the time. And if you can turn it off, you can get through it and be pragmatic and make a good decision as opposed to doing something when you're panicking.
So that must have been really crazy. And thankfully she's okay.
Yeah, she's been, you know, we're going on 13 years.
Wow.
That she's been clean.
Yeah, that is a fear. I totally have.
Your health is so fragile and delicate, you know? And if you can do things every day, like get uncomfortable in the cold shower or eat a clean diet, you know, it just gives you armor to deal with some of this stuff. But when it does pop up, like you can't expect to be healthy every day.
No.
Because, I mean, listen, I had the coronavirus. Like I was like, I'm not going to get it. I have a healthy immune system. I'm like a Wim Hof breather and I take cold showers and, you know, whatever. I eat a really healthy diet. It fucked me up for like 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was hardcore.
It's gnarly.
It was gnarly.
You know?
No one's invincible.
No. Not even Kelly Slater.
Not even Kelly Slater.
What do you do in the mornings then that helps set your day? Like, what do you do to get in the right mindset?
I drink a couple of espressos first thing every morning.
All right.
Find that the guy who started the Ashtanga yoga practice, Pabhati Joyce, he used to tell his students, no coffee, no prana. Prana is your life force. So when my yoga instructor told me that, I was like, okay, this guy's for me. So I drink some espresso in the morning and then work a little bit just to kind of see what happens. And then I just go and exercise. And I've sort of made this commitment to myself that no matter what the weather is outside, no matter what time of year it is, I'm going to go outdoors. And living in New York City, it can be kind of hard because you want to, like, you know, you wake up in an apartment, you go to your office, you come back to your apartment, you're inside a lot. But in the city, there's a lot of outdoor space early in the morning where there aren't a lot of other humans around. Mm-hmm. So I live down by the South Street Seaport. And
they have those little exercise,
I go
things right there.
I ride my bike or, jog up to the pull-up bar by the Lower East Side skate park and do pull-ups and push-ups and squats and calisthenics and, then ride my bike home and go to work, or I'll just do some burpees or whatever, but it's got to be like something every day. And even if it's just like 20 minutes, like I don't try to kill myself anymore, but just having that as part of the practice just sort of helps keep everything else in balance because I know that oxygenated my blood that day.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're exercising, you're not thinking about other stuff that's going on in your life that can be distracting you. Like, oh, did I forget to do this for work? Or, you know, I got to do that for my kids or whatever. So it's part of that practice that helps you balance out the rest of your life. And you got to have it, you know, like, it's like, you know, when we were younger and we go out a lot and you drink a lot.
Yeah.
You like feel like shit for like a week, you know? It's like you can't do that all the time.
No.
Yeah, as you get older, you mature and you find out what works for you. You know, I don't know if my body will keep up with my mind. It's probably not going to. Like my shoulders and my knees are going to go. You know, I can already start to feel it. Like, you know, it's like I
feel my hips.
Like I remember when I first started surfing, I was watching like a documentary with Steve Pesman.
Yeah.
And he was pretty old at the time. And he's just like, my mind wants to do things that my body won't do anymore, but I'm dealing with the limitations of what my body's capable of.
Yeah.
And my mind slows down and it's okay.
Well, I read this. I love this is one of my favorite books called Zen and the Martial Arts, Joe Hyams, and he has this one lesson where he talks about being older, practicing karate, and he, you know, was sparring and he tries to do these high kicks and he kept losing, and he's, you know, said to his sensei, he's like, you know, I keep losing. So it takes me a while to warm up to get to these high kicks because my body doesn't do that anymore. And his sensei said to him, like, you should just do what you can do very well and learn to do those extremely well, and you'll be fine. Don't keep trying to do the high kicks. Just then do low kicks really well. And then when he then sparred this one person again, well, after practicing his lower kicks and perfecting them, he was able to win the sparring match.
Watching Tony Caramonico surf.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's just like so fluid and has so much style. And, you know, he's not a young guy anymore.
No, he's in his 70s, you know.
But he works with the limitations that, you know, he has, and it looks good.
That's part of mastery, isn't it?
Yes.
Before we end, I want to also discuss about your coffee passion.
Oh yeah,
and I want to talk about Blackpool Coffee because it's cool. Because one, like, the website is awesome. Like he says, you know, you have a thing like drink good. Your saying is drink good coffee, listen to good music, be kind to other humans. Compassion and tolerance are not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. Dalai Lama. And you have a bunch of those like kind of inspirational quotes. Like, how did this start? And it's a project with you and your son started, or?
Yeah, it was sort of like, you know, roasting coffee out of the garage was just sort of a hobby for me.
Yeah.
Like my original plan in life was to be a chef. So I've always been like a huge foodie. Like I wanted to go to the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park and be a chef.
Man.
So in my 6.5-year college adventure, I worked as a chef, you know, and as a chef's apprentice.
Yeah.
You know, and like a sous chef. And then I realized like this really wasn't for me. You
Yeah.
know, it's like it's a lot of late nights and people do a lot of drugs and partying.
Yeah.
And it's like, and they're very passionate. Like one of my best friends in the whole world is a very successful chef. I mean, he does it, but it's like it wasn't my thing.
It's a rough lifestyle.
It is, but like, you know, like they're so like have so much respect for the chefs because they put their soul on the plate, you know, and you can taste it. You can see like the representation of like when something is well executed.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I'm not afraid to send them something back if it's fucked up. Like my wife, like she never sent. They always like my kids always make fun of me. Like, are you going to send it back or not? I'm like, if it was made with love, I'm not going to. But like they're just like they're very focused. They're very passionate. You know, and you could like Jonathan Waxman's chicken at Barbuto.
Yeah.
It's the best fucking chicken in America. I don't care what anybody says. It is so well done.
Yeah.
And you can talk to him about it. He'll sit there and talk to you for like an hour about this fucking chicken that he's got. I mean, it's
awesome.
amazing. It's amazing. So like those are the kinds of people that you meet in that industry and they are amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I love them, but it wasn't for me. So I forgot what we were talking about.
Your Blackpool Coffee.
Yes.
Yeah. You started roasting.
So I always like, you know, I started drinking coffee a lot when I was in my 20s just because it makes you so productive. And, you know, like
it's delicious.
The entire Enlightenment was spawned around the same time the Arabic traders brought coffee to Europe. So like Voltaire, right? The father of the Enlightenment, he used to drink like 14 cups of coffee a day.
Fuck.
That's fact. Yeah. Yeah. Mind-blowing moment.
So I don't feel so bad when I have 4 cups.
And you're just like, I can see the Matrix now. Everything's going in slow motion. This is amazing.
Well, for me, I just end up going to the bathroom a lot.
So I started reading about, you know, the whole like coffee, like how does it work? You know, like where do the beans come from? What's the process? And then you start discovering and you start hearing about like